Hi guys, welcome to Multiverse. Today we're going to take a look at the Owlman. Basically, our friend Owlman from the comment section has been asking for a new Owlman video. And also, there's a whole bunch of new stuff that was released since the last time I did a video about Owlman, so it should allow me to create a few variations that I couldn't create way back when. I will put a link to my previous Owlman video, but again, let's get started. Basically, here I tried to recreate the Earth to Owlman from the Grant Morrison series from 15 years, 20 years ago. Damn it. Goes by too fast. So basically, this was the new post-crisis Owlman, sort of. Because during Crisis on Infinite Earth, Earth 3 was destroyed and the Crime Syndicate was destroyed. But later down the line, Grant Morrison created an Earth 2 version of the Crime Syndicate, and this is the Earth 2 version of Owlman, at least as close as I was able to get. I used the... what emblem is that again? Let's go through all the stuff I've used, and then we'll take a better look at the character again. For the headpiece, basically I went with the future Batman headgear. I probably could have gone with a few other things, but basically I went with that because the Owlman had a pretty big bulky metallic helmet. He had those bug eyes also, but I couldn't have the bug eyes with this helmet, and I didn't really have any other helmet that kind of reproduced the look of Owlman. So I would have had to go with like a slimline helmet, a slimline mask with the bug goggle eyes, and it didn't really do the trick, I thought. So I preferred to go with that. Oh, no, not accessory. We're looking for the emblems. For the emblem, I went with, it's the Athena emblem. Basically, the owl emblem is the Athena emblem. I guess I could have gone with the enhanced version. Let's see if the enhanced version actually works or not. Yeah, I guess the enhanced version could have done the trick. So if you prefer the enhanced version, you could go for that. For the hands, I went with the Dr. Midnight hands, or just the Midnight, I guess I should say. Those reproduce a lot closer the gloves that Owlman was using. I wish I had a pair of boots that kind of match with that, because basically that's what I would need. I would need a pair of boots pretty much like that for the character, and sadly we don't seem to have any such boots. For the belt, I went with the Raptor Infiltrator belt, but there's probably half a dozen belts with pouches and a round buckle that could have done the trick, but this is just the one I settled on. For the chest and the pants, I went with the reverse slimline. And the boots, as I said, I didn't really have any boots that actually did the trick, so I went with a pair of boots that I thought looked good, the Themyscirian battle suit. Maybe I could tweak the colors a bit. Nah, too late. Let's see if I can tweak the colors of the boots a bit. No, not really. Let's go for that. So you can see how it looks like with the enhanced version. I guess the regular version is a better option. But then again, whichever you prefer. Again, for the cape, I didn't really have a cape that reproduced like the feathery look of the cape that the character had. So this is about as close as I was able to get with that character. This here is about as close as I was able to get to the original version of the character. Basically, I used the angelic helmet. I used the Batwoman cape. I went with the high-collared chest piece because, as you can see, it allows me to match the top of the chest piece with the cape, almost sort of faking as if it was like a cowl as opposed to just a cape. In this case, doesn't really work all that well because the helmet is not really a cowl, but you get the idea. For the belt, obviously, I went with the Beyond belt. The pants are the New Genesis pants. The gloves, again, I was able to use the Harley Quinn gloves, the DC Bombshell Harley Quinn gloves. So again, as I mentioned, there's a few new pieces of gear that we can use to try to recreate those looks. And for the boots, I went with the cuffed boots. So basically, this is like an evil version of Batman. So you can pretty much recreate more or less the Batman look, and then replace the gloves, take out the emblem, and change the headpiece, and you're pretty much have recreated our friend Owlman. And this is the original version of the character. This is the Earth 3 version that was there before the Crisis on Infinite Earth. Sadly, the character in the whole Crime Syndicate was pretty much destroyed during Crisis on Infinite Earth. So sadly, no more original Owlman after that. Then there was this animated film called Crisis on Two Earths, where again we had a new version of the Crime Syndicate of America. I believe they were on Earth 3 as well. Um, and this is about as close to that version of Owlman as I was able to get. I probably could have used a different chest, but this one worked well enough, I suppose. Again, I couldn't really reproduce the back piece properly with the feather and all that, so this is as good as always, as close as I was able to get for the cape. For the mask, this time I was able to use the Batwoman mask. If I could have like round eyes on the character, like if I could have used some sort of round goggles, that would have been better. But it's close enough to the look of the character. For the emblem, a simple O is what the character was using. He had this circle that represented the O for Owlman. The slimline chest piece reproduces the motif of the armor well enough. So that's what I went with. For the gloves, I went with I always forget the name of those gloves. I went with I think it's Aerial, but let's take a quick look. Aeronaut. For the pants, again, I went with the New Genesis pants. The belt, I went with the interlocking belt. And for the boots, I think it's the Shepherd of Adara boots. Doesn't really look like the boots the character was using, but he basically had some sort of knee-high boots that were sort of armored a bit. So I went with that. So again, this is about as close as always will to get from the Earth Crisis on Two Earth Owlman look. If you never saw that film, I strongly suggest you take a look at that film. It's an animated film straight to DVD that was all kinds of awesome. And you see a whole bunch of alternate versions of characters that we know. Like the alternate versions of Hawkman and Black Lightning. Holy crap, those were pure geniuses. And speaking of alternate versions, in the TV show The Brave and the Bold, we were introduced at some point to an alternate version of Owlman. I think it was the evil version of Batman. I'm trying to remember if he was like an evil version of Bruce Wayne from an alternate world. It's been a long time since I watched that show, so. But basically, Batman gets replaced by Owlman, and he pretty much fools everyone for a while. But then obviously he becomes the evil Owlman at some point, and then tries to take down the Justice League and the world. So this is about as close to that Owlman character as I was able to get, which is fairly close, I suppose. Again, I'm using the Batwoman mask. Any slimline headpiece would actually do the trick. The future Batman chest piece is awesome to reproduce the big emblem that the character had. He had like that big bat emblem. These gloves are the banded gloves is what I ended up using. I also ended up using the banded boots. For the pants, the reverse slimline. Obviously, the belt is the Beyond belt, and the back piece is still the Barbarian piece to try to reproduce the sort of feather textures that the cape often had. Although I can't recall if this one had actually feathers. He probably would have been better off just using the Batwoman cape. could have gone with the future Batman cape, but a Batwoman cape is easier to get. So some of you guys may have an easier time getting that cape as opposed to the future Batman cape. So basically, we had an evil version that was like black and yellow, and it was pretty cool to look at. And it was all sorts of evil because, of course, he was evil. And last but not least, this is about as close to the Batman from Forever Evil as the Batman. This is as close as I was able to get to the Owlman from Forever Evil. So again, basically, it's the crime syndicate from Earth 3 that pretty much came to try to defeat the Justice League and conquer the world, obviously. The motif on the headpiece is not quite exactly what the motif was on the Forever Evil Owlman, but it's close enough, and the shape of the mask is actually closer to what the character was using. But yeah, the motif is a little off, but it's close enough to suggest the character. Again, for the emblem, I went with the Athena emblem. Again, if you want, you could go for the enhanced version if you prefer. The chest piece, the slimline chest piece does the trick, just tweaking the colors a bit. The new Genesis pants also do the trick. We still have the interlocking waist piece, the interlocking belt. For the boots, again, I went with the Shepherd of Adora boots. It doesn't really look like the boots themselves, but what I needed, again, was some knee-high boots that were sort of armored, and these did the trick well enough. And for the hands, I needed some sort of gloves that had some sort of spike. It's not exactly what I needed, but close enough, I suppose. So I went with the Remora gloves to try to get those spikes that kind of sort of reproduce the look of the character. Again, it's not exactly that, but it's close enough. So that's pretty much it for our friend Owlman. The character is a bit challenging to reproduce sometimes, but depending on which version of the character you want to reproduce, it'll be easier or harder. Obviously, if there's some pieces of gear you don't have just yet, you can try to use some alternatives in the meantime. And of course, this was also in anticipation to the Earth 3 DLC. Basically, I will do a bunch of videos about the various Earth 3 members. I don't think I'll do them all, but I will do it at the release, the main ones. I'll probably do Ultraman, Power Ring, Johnny Quick, and maybe one or two other that I failed to recall or mention. Again, one thing I would strongly suggest, if you're not familiar with the Crime Syndicate of America, I would strongly suggest the Crisis on Earth 2 straight to DVD movie. It is an awesome film that will feature the character that do a really good job at featuring the characters. Obviously, it's somewhat alternate characters. It's the characters from the movie that are a bit different from those from the comics, but are close enough to give you a good idea of who the characters are. And it'll prepare you for the Earth 3 DLC that's coming up in November. In about, holy crap, in a month, if we're lucky in a month. If we're not lucky in a little more than a month, maybe a month and a half, I guess we'll have to wait and see. If we're lucky, also maybe we'll get an Owlman set of gear in that DLC. I don't have any information about that. It's just me speculating, but I'm hoping we will get an Owlman set of gear, which would probably help a lot of you guys to try to recreate your friend Owlman. I would bet the farm though that we will get an Owlman emblem. I would strongly think that I believe we will get at least an Ultraman emblem, an Owlman emblem, and a Superwoman emblem. These three, at the very release, we should have these three. Again, if we look at the pattern from previous DLCs, usually with new DLCs, we do have a new time capsules that come out, and usually the time capsules are somewhat linked to the DLC itself. Like as we just saw with the Gotham DLC, the Gotham time capsules, they were pretty much linked to the Riddle with Crime in terms that we got a whole bunch of Batman-related stuff. We got the Batman Beyond gear, and we got a whole bunch of emblems, the Joker emblems, the Riddler emblems. Oh, no, we didn't get the Joker emblems. I have to wonder, why did we not get the Joker emblem? That would have been I don't know, pretty obvious to me. But anyway, we got the Harley Quinn emblem, we got the Riddler emblem, and a whole bunch of Gotham-related emblems that kind of sort of worked with the Riddle with Crime DLC. So I strongly suspect that the next time capsule will have some, at the very least, some Crime Syndicate emblems. There's no way that we're not going to get some Crime Syndicate emblems, and I will strongly bet the farm that we will get at the very least Owlman, Ultraman, and Superwoman. At the very least, I'm sure I would bet the farm we're going to get at least those. If we're lucky, we'll get an Owlman set of gear in the time capsule, or we'll get an Owlman set of gear in the DLC. I guess we're gonna have to wait and see for that. So anyway, enough rambling around. So that's pretty much it for now, guys. So as always, thanks for watching, and hopefully I'll see you guys next time. Bye bye.